Hello there. What's going on, guys? I'm Weston Mack, and welcome back to One More Minute, the show where each day I get 1 more minute to talk about whatever I want. And in today's interesting two-part special, yes, this is the first ever 1 minute special. Part one will be about the freeze, and part two will be during the freeze. Yes, Texas is experiencing another snowstorm, which is both, oh boy, snow, and oh no one knows how to deal with snow in Texas. And you might be wondering, why am I wearing such a ridiculous outfit? It's really cold, man. It's not even the day of the freeze, and it's like, I think below freezing midday. So yes, I will be wearing this during this because both one, it probably gets better clicks, and also two, it is really cold, and I feel nice and warm in this. Anyways, if you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe. This two-part special, as today we're actually be going over my history with different freezes and stuff like that in cold weather. So jumping into this, when was the first time ever I interacted with snow? And snow is in big quotations, as I've never really experienced multiple inches of snow. I've always dealt with maybe 1 to 2 inches at most over the years. But technically my first ever time dealing with snow was caught on camera. And it was in 2007, I think, either 2007 or 2009. I was in elementary school at the time. And I got my first ever like snow flurry in Texas, and at the time I was living in Orange, my hometown, and yeah, I don't personally remember it that much. I remember there's video of it that does exist, but yeah, that was the first of who knows how many flurries I would get, and there really wouldn't be very much for a very, very long time. Now, when it comes to Texas, snow in Texas does not blend or melt very well, I guess. Yeah, from what I've experienced, we can deal with hurricanes. That's really all we deal with is really hurricanes. I was gonna say earthquakes or like tornadoes, but I haven't seen a tornado mentioned down here in a very long time. I guess it was recently. I don't know. Anyways, we can deal with hurricanes, but apparently really, really cold weather is not what we deal with. And that was pronounced very, very much so in the 2021 snowstorm. It was during the COVID times. But we'll get to that in a second. We're actually talking about the 2018 snowstorm. I got you there. In 2018, there was, I think it was December of 2018, there was a snowstorm, and I was still in high school at the time. And that was really the first actual experience of snow I've ever had before. And this is where the main root of the video comes from. So in 2018, we were coming up on finals. I believe it was the week before finals. And that day, we actually had a choir concert coming up that night. But we still had to obviously go to school that day and go through a full day of school. And since it's near the end of exams, there really wasn't much going on, as it was mostly just exam prep. Either you can prep in the room with your fellow students or go out and talk to either other people who knew better about your subject. Sometimes that was not your friends in your class, or go with a tutor and stuff like that. When it came to Clements, my high school, exams weren't that huge of a deal. Now, obviously getting A's was that huge of a deal, but they weren't ultra super hard as long as you studied and stuff like that. And so instead of studying for my eventual bio exam, because I believe it was the Christmas or December of my freshman year, we instead went outside and threw snowballs at each other. Yes, I rolled up to school, and I was dropped off, and I found all my other fellow football players, and we literally went running around the lawns of Clements, gathering up snow and throwing snowballs at each other and hanging out in the snow. And I was one of the few responsible kids who went back inside for like 5 minutes and then immediately went back outside to go throw snowballs and stuff like that. A lot of people were missing from first period. A lot of people were told off not to do that again. But there were so many people to an extent outside that they really didn't care that much and decided, as long as they make it a second period, it's fine. And throughout the day, every once in a while, I'd go take a peek outside. There was like little like areas you can go look out. But it was blanketed in snow. I mean, snow lasted all day long pretty much. And it was sadly gone the next day. I think it might have been a weekend. But that was really my first ever time experiencing snow. I actually still do have the Instagram post up of me kind of like chilling. I think I had a Christmas sweater on, like chilling in the snow. Was standing there and I didn't really know how to pose, so I was just like, let's just go like this, act kind of cool, I guess. I'm sure I was being ironic, but yeah, that was my first actual experience with snow. Comparing it to a little flurry when I was a wee little child and actually being able to go out and have a snowball fight my freshman year in high school, very different experience. So then it wouldn't be for a while. I think it was, so when it comes to COVID times, and I'm sure everybody can recognize this, between 2020 and now 2024, there was just there's just a gap of like, I don't know what the heck's going on here, especially during 2021 and 2022. That gap is like, no one knows what happens during that time. And I think it was either 2020 or 2021. I should have looked at it before this video. I don't make it to keep this knowledge, but like COVID's something different. But there was another snowstorm. And I remember it because we were on lockdown. I didn't have class or whatever. Not lockdown. We just didn't have class because it was COVID. And so we were there at the house, and we knew ahead of time there was going to be a snow flurry coming through Houston. And we had bunkered down, had our little water taps and stuff like that, which I'll have to end up doing here. And yeah, the snow came. Now, I hadn't mentioned this before, but I have two Huskies. At this time, I had two Huskies. And seeing them interact with the snow has always been one of the funniest things, because obviously Huskies are like bred for this type of conditioning. And there's always been the joke, oh geez, I just did something weird in my hair. There's always been the thing when it came to Huskies that they absolutely love the snow. And my Huskies are no different, even though they haven't interacted that much with snow. Now, they both have different reactions when it came to this flurry of snow in the 20s. And that was Link, who... So first of all, Link is a little special guy. He hates wet, I think is the best way to put it. I wouldn't necessarily say he hates rain. He hates wet, like puddles and stuff like that. While he does hate those things, I would just say, in general, he just hates wet. And so whenever there's a storm or whatever, he'll sometimes stand outside and basically be paralyzed. You know those videos whenever you somebody puts like a little vest or a little costume onto their animal and they freeze up? Yeah, that's Link whenever he goes outside and it's raining. And so he had a similar reaction initially, running around in the snow. It was like cold. He's like, oh, this is fine. And then eventually he realized he was getting wet because the snow is ice and all that stuff. And eventually he's like, no, I'm good, and stayed inside. However, Navi, it is like, I'm not trying to get demonetized here, even though I'm not monetized in the first place. It is like powder to her. It is like prescription medicine to her, if you know what I mean. And she goes absolutely insane, running around, loving the snow, the cold, the wet, whatever. And that is really a true bred Husky. Even though she's a lot smaller than the average Husky, she's got just as much energy. And so, yeah, then also at the time we had a pool. And so seeing a nice kind of, it wasn't, you hit step on it, but seeing the glaze of ice across our little pool was one of the weirdest things in the world, and kind of poking holes in it and stuff like that. And then seeing the rushing water on the opposite side, because it's a little like fountain feature, and seeing the ice broken up over there. While it was not like you can go stand on the ice or whatever, it wasn't that cold. It was just freezing enough and just wet enough for it to actually be freezing, and have basically snow. This time around, both of the 2018 and this one actually had, I would say, between half an inch to an inch of snow. But now as we had like kind of the half-minute mark, we do have the preparation of snow number 4 for me. And this one's a little different, as this is expected to be one of the deepest snowstorms ever in a very long time, potentially up to 2 inches of snow, doubling the height, combining the height of the last 2 snows. And while this will be my first snow kind of on my own, I was planning to go back home actually, but I literally could not make enough videos ahead of time for you to be able to see all this stuff. I would have to bring my computer back with me and a monitor, all my filming equipment. because now school has been canceled and today is MLK Day. And yes, I'm filming this of the day because I kind of wanted to get the whole experience of everything. There's uploads ahead of time. But when it comes to this, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting experience. It's my first solo snow, I guess. Now, I've heard other things when it comes to other experiences of different snowstorms and stuff like that. My favorite to go back and reminisce on is all of the craziness in Austin. While I feel like I will eventually move to Austin and love it in Austin. I currently don't live there because I'm a college student. But the Rooster Teeth podcast, may Rooster Teeth rest in peace. They have had many different stories of the different snowstorms in Austin, as Austin, like every other place in Texas, does not know how to deal with snowstorms. And generally in Texas, while they have gotten better since the 2018 snowstorm and the 2020 snowstorm, we just don't know how to deal with it. Whether it's the power grid system, which for some reason, whenever we found out about this in 2020, I'm just gonna say it's 2020. I'm sure maybe it would have been a different year or whatever. But whenever the snowstorm happened in 2020, there was an incredibly large and major. It was almost like whenever you're finding out about your Darth Vader and you find out there's an air vent on the top of your giant Death Star, and that air vent allows you to blow up the entire Death Star. That's what it felt like finding out that Texas was not connected to any other grid or decided not to take any energy from any other grid in the U.S. They're on their own energy grid system. Therefore, let's say there was some huge power outage and we weren't able to reboot the generators or whatever. It would take literal months to reboot the entire grid system in all of Texas, just because we wanted to be a little different and just wanted to be a little quirky and not have our entire system connected to every other state like every other state has them. And so, finding that out and then there being a few days worth of no power to our house in like all of Houston was one of the craziest things in the world. And so, fingers crossed, Huntsville stays fine. Either way, whether I have power or not, we will be filming that video. And I'm sure I probably need to upload some videos ahead of time just in case. I'm super excited for the snowstorm tomorrow. Maybe I might have the podcast. I might have 1 more minute outside, or at least have some videos or footage of outside or whatever. But it's gonna be a cool experience, and nonetheless, depending on how cold it is, I might go take a little gander and maybe look at the campus for how far I can see it. There's a really, really good spot where I used to live, where you can go up on this, up on the 3rd floor platform of the apartment. You can look out and see a good over 80% of the school and kind of just get a good view of everything. And I used to look out every day when I'm leaving class to kind of see, okay, what are the lines looking like at Generals? Okay, what's the traffic looking like over here? And you can literally see, I'm not exaggerating, you can see a very large portion of the school. And so I might go do that. I might go take some photos up there. But I would also love to hear if you guys had any stories when it comes to snowstorms and stuff like that. As a Texian, no, it's not right. As a Texan, geez Louise, as a Texan, I would love to experience snow more. Let me correct that. I would love to experience it more, not in the terms of global warming completely shifting the environments of how we live, and more of let's go to Colorado for the weekend and go look at snow in its more natural state, not in Southeast Texas where it's normally 50 degrees at its very coldest on Christmas. And yes, it was. I think it was either 50 or 60 degrees on Christmas Day or whatever. And that's what we're used to. We're used to warmer climate during the majority of the year, between the Gulf of Mexico making it very humid and no one else wanting to take the blame for the heat. We normally take it. It's only not even that hot in Arizona, I feel. I personally think it's worse here in Texas than it is in Arizona. It's warmer. Not normally. I mean, Arizona, you guys are 120 degrees or whatever in summer. We more just have the humid issue. But between the humidity and the heat, Christmas feels hot and heavy. I hated that, but I'm not wrong. So, yeah, I'm very much used to colder now. In January, February it does get pretty cold here sometimes. But yeah, I would rather like to experience a freeze or a snowstorm or just snow in general in its more natural environment, not near the Gulf of Mexico. Now, you're also probably wondering a couple questions about this fit. Now, it is Greninja from Pokemon, and it is like kind of like baggy and stuff like that. And I'll explain a little bit about what this type of outfit is. I almost said dress. I don't know why. Outfit is. So this is called a kigurumi. Now, there's multiple definitions for a kigurumi. One of them being a mascot costume that has like anime faces or whatever. But this in particular is a kigurumi. It's more akin to like a giant onesie. And what I mean by giant is a onesie really does, it does the whole purpose of being a one piece of fabric, one big piece of fabric that is wrapped around you, and it's basically your pants and your top stitched together in a sometimes goofy looking fashion, whether it's a little Chewbacca onesie or it's one of those traditional like flannel onesie looking things. You know what I'm talking about, the one with like the butt flap and stuff like that. That's normally a onesie, and also normally they're reserved for small children or grown adults. There's really no in between there for some reason. But then comes the kigurumi, a Japanese invention, which you guys should not be surprised that it's Japanese themed. Everything in my life is Japanese themed, whether or not. But yes, the kigurumi is a Japanese thing, and it makes sense as it's basically, so in my opinion, it's way better than the onesie as it's more comfortable and also just more fun. I think a fun factor when it comes to the onesie is not attributed enough. There should be more fun factor in clothes, and the kigurumis fit that. And so there's been an ongoing tradition since we moved back to Texas that actually it's been longer than that, but roughly since I've been back from California, is that I get a kigurumi every Christmas Eve as my Christmas pajamas or whatever. And so while they may not be as useful as the normal pajama that you can wear year round, it might come in handy in case there's a 2-inch snowstorm on January 21st of 2025. And here we are. I predicted it years ago. I went, there will be a snowstorm on January 21st, 2025, and I will be a YouTuber, and I will need this to film something in, and here we are. So, yes, so it's normally like more themed than like a traditional onesie. I've yet to see a kigurumi that's like blue. So, normally it's like Pokemon has been their biggest thing, but previous to that, it was normally like animals. So like a fox, or you've probably seen the green dinosaur one is easily the most popular one, or it's like a lemur and stuff like that. And since then, they've gained such notoriety that Pokemon have actually partnered with them officially. And you'll actually sometimes see them in like Barnes & Noble. I've seen like a Charizard one in Barnes & Noble, but like a Pikachu, Charizard, a Snorlax, all of the usuals. But then something hit me. When I saw this one, and sometimes they'll have little special features like this one, which actually has the freaking tongue, and it uses these little metal buttons as well. So it wraps around your neck as basically like a highly advanced neck pillow, which is actually, this is how you're supposed to use a neck pillow. It's supposed to go in your front, so you sleep like this. And yes, I had the nicest and warmest sleep last night wearing this, and I plan on having another one tonight. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Part 1 of 2 of the freeze. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking more about actually what's going on with the freeze and some updates and some general stuff about what the heck's going on. And if the upload quality is not as good, that means my computer doesn't have power and I'm uploading it directly from my phone to my YouTube channel. So don't worry about that. There will be a video tomorrow. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope if you're in Texas, have fun with the freeze, stay safe, and go sledding. It might be your only opportunity for the next, actually, 8 years, I guess. Has it been 8 years? 4 years, right? 6 years? I don't know. Anyways, it's probably gonna be another decade before it freezes, so have fun with it and enjoy the freeze. I'll see you guys next time. Ooh. Also, new background. I don't know if you noticed that too. We'll talk about that later.